Jordan! Jordan!
Scotty.
How are you?
I'm... yeah, feeling like that. Feeling very... We're still in lockdown here in Australia. Sydney, Australia.
It has continued to get worse because people are being stupid. I don't know.
Well, not just being stupid. I feel like it's a lot more complicated. But yes, there are some people out there who just don't give a fuck, unfortunately.
We've literally had protests against reality, protests against sense and sensibility.
Well, some of those protests I'm actually kind of on board for. And I'm going to explain to you what ones and why.
Okay.
The people who started the protests are actually people who lost their jobs.
Yes.
Who were members of workplaces that were basically family owned, and when the lockdown happened, they could no longer get any money, and the local and federal government have been very stingy when it comes to helping people, unfortunately.
Well, they created a system where they provided just enough money so people wouldn't go looking for going back to small business jobs, but at the same time they would cut it off so that no one can rely on it long term either.
Yeah.
So there are a whole bunch of people that have basically been fed fake promises and failed.
Yeah, and so
they've been failed.
When we talk about the I guess the people that were down in Sydney, a lot of them were part of that group of people, and then there are other ones that I don't agree with, which were the anti-vaxxers and the
anti-lockdown process people.
Yes,
because a lot of it was for all the people who were suffering in terms of financial aid and basic living. There are so many more were just protesting the lockdown itself, and they're protesting wearing masks in general, and they're just entitled fucks. So
I 100% agree. Unfortunately, that's the situation that we're living in now. But anyway, I've been up here on the coast, which is slightly separated from where a lot of the red zones are.
Well, I've been near red zones.
You work in a red zone.
Yes, I work in a red zone, exactly.
So yes, I feel bad, but also at the same time, pretty much all of Greater Sydney is affected.
Oh yeah, no, it is. I mean, the area I live in is one of the better areas in terms of how protected it is, but it wouldn't take much.
So yes, with that being said, again, we have gone another month without being able to see anything.
The cinemas are closed. So I guess we should talk about all the movies we couldn't see there, shouldn't we, George?
Why not? Why not? And then we can talk about what's happening in Hollywood right now, because there's stuff that's happening that is shaking everything up. But yes, let's talk about the ones we haven't seen.
So we didn't see a classic horror story, which I completely forgot even was coming out because we were
classic horror. A classic, is that the name of it, or is that the?
Yeah, that's I was looking forward to it. It's Roberto De Fio. It's this
an Italian director.
Yes. Yeah, I remember the trailer when it came out. It was
horror is entrenched in historically Italian cinema. It's very much they kind of did a lot with that, just like the spaghetti western, I guess.
Yeah, no, there's a lot B-grade movies in general. The genres we associate, a lot of it came out of Italy because they were cheap to film there at the time in that time period, 50s, 60s, 70s. I don't remember exactly when that era was, but
yeah. Okay, well, can you run us through like a really quick plot synopsis? Because I don't think I've heard of this one.
There's 5 people who share a car, and they are going through the wilderness, and at nighttime they find a dead animal carcass, and they crash into a tree. And if it's one of those weird things keep happening, and it just keeps slightly getting weirder and weirder. It's existential dread movies.
Cool.
That's why that's one of those films that. Because it reminds me of The Witch a little bit. That's why I was kind of keeping.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And that's definitely coming out in Australia. because
I
we
don't
have
know
a
if it was-
bad history of
Well,
not
it could have come
releasing
out in, like,
things.
could have been one of those that came out in like a few cinemas.
Yeah,
I feel like because B-grade horror is usually better than other stuff.
that's
That
true. That's true.
But speaking of B-grade horror, let's move into something everyone's actually heard of, Old, which people overseas are getting to see, and it's I hear it's meant to. M. Night Shyamalan wants to be Ari Aster. That's the basic synopsis I've heard of this movie. Is he's trying to be the director of Midsommar and Hereditary.
Yeah.
But he's M. Night Shyamalan, so
yeah, and he's got his he's got his twists and his turns, and I'm to be honest with you, I don't get it. I don't understand a lot of his choices, but I'm happy he's making them. Just because it's his own shit, like it's its own thing.
The thing is, at this point, I think because some of the movies near the start were better than, or seem to be better than ones near the end, that people don't really understand him. I think sometimes he's going to strike gold, and sometimes he's not. I don't think he's petered out or anything.
No,
I think he's just going to try weird stuff, and sometimes it's going to be something they'll love. The thing is, there are moments in some of the films that are judged to be terrible, like The Happening. I kind of love moments of that movie. I think there are moments in The Happening that are actually really good. There are also moments in that are hilariously bad. But I think I'm glad that he's still making movies, and I will watch his movies.
Yes.
Like even with, I think Glass was a disappointment because it was also built on Unbreakable, and
it was kind of like Unbreakable came out, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's back," you know, like he's still making good movies. He still can make a good movie.
You mean Split? But yes.
Oh yes, Split. Sorry, and then it kind of fell kind of flat on his face for most people when the next one came out, and it's weird watching him because you know what you're going to get, but it's not necessarily going to be something that you can understand. If that makes sense.
It is, and I think it's like there are other movies he's had as well, like the Old Person one.
The Old
Visit.
Person with The Visit. I don't think I've ever seen that one.
No, it was a relatively recent one where the old people with the monster, basically.
I don't remember. I don't think I've seen it.
Okay, and then there was The Village as well. Where, there's some of them which are on the fence where they're kooky, but you can enjoy them.
Yeah.
So I think that's the key to M. Night Shyamalan.
I recently watched Signs again, and that's pretty fun.
Yeah, I love Signs. I love Sixth Sense.
I think now, like looking back on it, a lot of the stuff that, like, there's some scenes that left me going, well, that's a bit. I don't think that works, but overall, I think it's a good film.
Yeah, and I think some of that stuff he was a hit, so some of it we glossed over, some of it we ignored. And now that when he lost his shine, like, you can go back and look at it, but I'm fine with that. I'm got to the stage where I'm not gonna unrate a movie, because it's not as good as I remember it being. Like if Gladiator's on television, I'll rewatch Gladiator, even though it's not as good as I remember it being. I'm still gonna watch the movie because it's still an okay movie, and it's something I'll watch. I know you have issues with the Gladiator, but there are movies from our youth. They never live up to our expectations when we go back to them, I think. Yeah,
there's some, and then there's some that exceed them.
That's true. I mean, The Lord of the Rings. I was watching. Have you seen Jujutsu Kaisen? It's a
no, but it is on my list. It's an anime, isn't it?
Okay, I'm not spoiling anything.
Yeah, don't spoil anything.
He watches Lord of the Rings at one point, and it's hilarious watching dubbed version of Lord of the Rings in anime artwork. It's the scene where at the end of the Fellowship of the Ring, where Sam gets on the boat, and it's that emotional scene, and it's just it's so funny seeing it. And,
so they've got anime, like is it the same like frame and everything?
It's the words are slightly changed.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's due to translation or they deliberately changed it slightly, but it's the same thing.
Translation.
But it's great at the same time because it fits in the scene as well. I don't want to spoil anything. It's actually a good anime. At least the first half of the first season is.
There's another director that reminds me of M. Night Shyamalan, who I think is like, I think he's figured it out, like what kind of horror he can do well, and it's Mike Flanagan. I don't know if you remember who Mike Flanagan is, but he's done a bunch of horror shows for Netflix recently, and he did Doctor Sleep.
Yes.
And his style of filmmaking when it comes to horror reminds me quite a bit of M. Night Shyamalan in terms of like pacing, especially. It's interesting to watch.
Well, he's someone who's come out through the horror genre himself, because he's worked as a cinematographer and an editor on big budget movies before he's done his own. Like he was the editor of The Haunting of Bly Manor, which, even though it wasn't a great movie, was a big budget horror movie. And then was a cinematographer on Oculus Chapter 3, and so he's worked with big stars. So Netflix is sort of a perfect spot for him to find his feet.
And he's done some good stuff. But yeah, there was kind of like a little. Every time I see a new M. Night Shyamalan film or a trailer, a lot of the shots in that remind me of Flanagan's work, which is, it's interesting. But yeah, continue with your list. What else we got?
Well, the thing is, it's not actually that large, so I don't actually feel that bad. Snake Eyes.
Yes, Snake Eyes. Starring Mr. Koji and Mr. Oh God, what's his name? It's on Crazy Rich Asians. God damn it, I can't remember his name.
Henry Golding.
That's it.
I actually knew that one without looking it up.
Andrew Koji, who co-stars in this film, I have been very impressed by. He's in a TV show called Warrior, which I've mentioned on this podcast before, that people should see, which is also coming back for a third season, which I'm so ecstatic about, because they left season 2 on a cliffhanger, and because of how the studios work, the studio got bought out and then sold, and everyone was like, oh no, they're not going to make another one. But they came through and they're making another one, which is fantastic. I
mean, a lot of television series have been like that recently. I know some of the stuff that was on the Sony stations has moved to other places, but they're all...
This has something to do with the big things that are happening in Hollywood as well,
I know.
Which we're going to mention at the very closer to the end after this. But Andrew Koji has really impressed me. He hasn't had a big career in film just yet, but he's already been in a primetime television show and as the lead actor. So he's pretty much carried that show as one of the leads himself, and now he's in a big budget Hollywood action film. And I don't really give a shit if this film is bad or whatever. I really want to see it just because he's in it, because I really respect him. I really respect a lot of the other actors in this film as well.
Yes. I mean, going back to the original G.I. Joe movies, they helped make Channing Tatum a big star. Yeah. And that's thanks to that we got the 21 and 22 Jump Street movies, which I love. Yeah. So...
and it was also, the first one was directed by the guy who also directed the Mummy movies, the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies, which I recently rewatched them when I was very sick.
Great fun.
And it made me feel so much better.
Oh, well, Brendan Fraser makes everyone feel better. Have you actually watched Doom Patrol?
Doom Patrol? Yes, I have. Yes, it's really good. People should watch it.
It is actually good. I'm not sure about any of the other DC shows in terms of but that one I have greatly enjoyed.
There are things we need to talk about.
Yes,
we'll get to that eventually.
Oh dear. I think at this stage, the shadow that is hanging over the podcast, everyone's guessed. Everyone knows what's coming.
Hold on.
We'll get there. We're going to get there. We're going to just drag it out. Everyone will know what we're talking about. But
so what's next on the list, Scotty?
What's next on the list? You know what's next on the list is Jungle Cruise, a Disney movie. Which we haven't seen yet. Which we could see.
We could, but I'm not seeing it for
last
reasons that we're going to talk about soon.
Last month, I spent $35 paying to watch Black Widow, which is more than I'd spend going to see it at the cinema.
Yes. But we get to keep it now, so that's as long as we're subscribed to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. If you want to do that, there should be an extra add-on called Premiere that you add just one payment and you get access to all the Premiere films from that year. That's what should be done. That's what should be done. And that's it. That's it. I think Premiere Access is such a gouge.
It's like pay to win games. That's what it reminds me of.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's fair. That's fair.
Because recently, the new Pokemon game, Pokemon Unite, which is a MOBA style game came out, and basically, you can grind the game, or you can just spend hundreds of dollars.
You could
hundreds
pay
of dollars right off the start and be so much better than everyone else.
It's the
And
same with the NBA games, the NBA 2K video game series. They've become
the EA games become like that so bad, it's horrible.
EA, 2K, a lot of these big gaming companies have turned to pay to win or just loot boxes. Loot boxes was a big thing a couple of years ago, and a lot of companies got in trouble because it's basically pay to gamble.
Yeah, it's not just pay to win; it's pay to gamble, which is actually worse than pay to win.
And it's illegal in some countries to get kids to do that.
Belgium is still holding strong, and that they're never going to let it happen. So good for the Belgians.
And to be fair, they have taken some big game companies to court and won a few small cases, which is great. But yes, it's trash behavior, and it's pretty low considering how much money that these companies make on a yearly basis. They should not be doing it. It's I'm not gonna pay to see Jungle Cruise. I'm gonna wait until I can either see it in the cinema or get it on DVD or something.
Yeah, I buy it, own it forever, and pay a lot less money for it. I mean, in a month's time, I'll be able to see it just on Disney Plus. So there's that.
Yeah, couple of months. Is that the list? I feel like there's one or two more.
There's a few more movies, but nothing really worth talking about. Stuff that, like, films that have fallen through the cracks. I mean, there's a Megan Fox movie, Midnight in the Switchgrass.
Yeah, no, I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, we can't see it yet.
No, we can't. A lot of these really good films we can't see. Like, even before COVID, we were struggling to be able to see. And now with COVID, it's added like an extra 8 to 12 months onto the release date for Australia, which really sucks. But it is what it is.
It's kind of funny that, well, before we get into the doom and gloom topic, the Dune trailer did drop this month.
Yes.
And it looks so good.
Oh my God.
It looks so good. The other movie that we had on the list to talk about is The Green Knight as well, which I've heard such good things about, and I really want to watch it, but I don't want to talk about it until I watch it as well.
Yes, I don't want to talk about it until I watch it, because apparently it is a masterpiece, which is all I've heard, and it's all I'll ever want to know until I see it.
Yeah, it's the movie that we want it to be, so that's good.
Yeah.
Jordan.
Yes.
I'm going to, all the way from Sydney to the Central Coast, I'm throwing you a soapbox. You can catch it.
Oh God, I'm not sure if I want to stand up on this thing. This is
no, you will, because I know when you get rolling, you're gonna let your feelings be known. Because
that's true. It's how I do what I do, and I want everyone to know. I want everybody to know before we get onto this topic, that what I say is it's not from a, like, I don't want to shit on anybody.
Oh, no, definitely not.
I don't want to shit on companies in general. I just, there are some behaviors that have happened recently. Actually, really, they've been happening all along. It's just they've been allowed to go on for so long that now they are actually becoming a problem that companies should not be doing, and people, audiences and stuff should not let them do, but have, and actually continue to do. And it's kind of sad. But how do we start this topic? Like, what do we
should we start with ScarJo, because I feel like she is the one who started the.
Well, actually, let's go back further.
Okay. Let's
go back to Robert Downey Jr.
Okay. Yes.
So when Robert Downey Jr. first became Iron Man, there was a deal set in place where he would get back-end dividends whenever a film would be released with that starred him. And a lot of film actors do this, especially when going to the cinemas was at its high point. It was the best way for actors and directors and stuff to get money while the studio didn't have to pay them a crazy amount of money.
This goes all the way back to Alec Guinness and Star Wars.
It does.
So,
but this practice has become fairly well known, and it's just however much you sell the film for to cinemas, and also to like on DVD sales and Blu-ray and all that kind of shit, how much money that makes back is like an actor will get a percentage of that. And they can earn, I think Robert Downey Jr. earned over 10, no, it was way more than that. It was like It was like over 20 million off
It was
of the
more than enough
initial.
to start. It was more than enough to start his own production company.
Yeah. So he got a shit ton just off of the first film's release alone, and let alone everything else that happened. Cut to 4 weeks ago, as of the release of this podcast.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. unfollows everything Disney.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about just, one or two people. I'm talking about everything and everyone connected to Disney. He just flat out unfollowed everyone. And then...
He didn't explain why either. He just did it.
No, he just did it. And then a couple of days ago, as of the recording of this podcast, ScarJo announces that she's going to sue Disney, not Marvel, but Disney, for the money lost that she was promised on back-end dividends. Now, the reason why this is important is because this is a major thing that is now going to, because nobody really foresaw COVID in the entertainment industry like 5 years ago.
No.
Or 10 or 20 or 30. So the decision to sue not only brings Disney's bad negotiation into light, because if they were going to do this, they should have renegotiated with ScarJo before they did it, before breaking contract, because that's professional. That's what they should be doing, but they didn't. But it also brings into light the fact that back-end dividends are not going to work during a pandemic when theaters are shut. Yes. It's not going to happen. It can't happen. It's not possible. You can't be paid what you're selling in theaters if nobody can go to the theater. So a new process has to be implemented. And with the implementation of online streaming platforms, guess what? It's actually going to cost... it's actually going to cost companies more money because they own the streaming platforms. And therefore, all of the money that they make off of the streaming platforms, a percentage of that has to go to the actors if they're going to renegotiate in the way that they're going to have to in order to keep actors happy. Now, the thing is, the reason why this is such a big deal is I saw online a lot of people getting angry that ScarJo, who's a millionaire, and she is, why isn't she happy with the money she has? Why isn't she happy with this? Why isn't she just happy? Just leave it alone. A, they broke contract. That's illegal. She can sue. B, would you rather a billionaire company have that money or a millionaire? And this is the big thing. There is a huge discrepancy between millionaires and billionaires, which I'm not going to get into right now. But it's massive.
That's not the necessarily biggest point here.
And it's not the biggest point here because she was promised something. The company owes her. The company didn't come through. The company is at fault. Simple as that. And the fact that so many people are defending Disney, who A, don't give a shit about them, and B, have so much money, it's ridiculous. They could, and they probably will opt to settle this out of court, and for the amount that she's been owed. Yeah, 100%. They probably will, just because it's easier for them to avoid a massive lawsuit.
But the thing is, the point here that is being made is someone in the film industry was promised something and that was not given to them, and then someone, this time being ScarJo, brought it back to bite them.
And yeah, exactly. So many people, and also I'd like to point out, let's go back to Olympus. Is it Olympus Has Fallen or
Olympus Has Fallen? Yeah.
Was it Olympus? Okay, so Gerard Butler, who's the star of the Has Fallen series, if we can call it that, he is also now suing. He is also now suing the production company behind those movies because he didn't get paid as much as they promised he would get paid.
Yep.
So ScarJo is effectively the first domino in this domino effect that is now causing a lot of and Emma Stone is now weighing her options whether she should sue Disney or not. And I bet a lot of other actors are also thinking about doing the same thing for a lot of films that have come out recently. And as they should, if it's in their contract, if the people writing the contracts and the production companies are screwing over their talent in order for them to get a quick buck.
Stage where corporations, groups like the Screen Actors Guild will probably start voicing their support for it because
they have to.
It will do them politically good, first of all.
Well, they're a union. They have to keep their actors' interests like in the best of interests. So it's not like
the point is there are already unions in place to weaponized. It's kind of
I mean,
the word.
use it. Why not?
Yeah. To fight this, and all production companies will be held to account. I think that this is the key. This is really about. This whole people standing up and fighting for what's owed them is showing that corporations can't defeat individuals in terms of what they're legally promised.
Well, the thing with corporations is they've fooled everybody into thinking that they have all the cards, and they don't.
No.
They need performers, they need directors, they need creatives in order to create what they're selling, and they need the audience to buy it. Without those two things, without one of those two things, they can't do anything. They are nothing. And this is one thing that I want all creatives to understand. Whether you're beginning a career in the arts or whether you're a veteran, it doesn't matter. You have power in this industry that oftentimes you're not using, and a lot of people aren't using, which you should be using. And I'm not talking about going around and swinging your dick in people's faces, telling them to do what you want. I'm talking about knowing your rights, knowing what you are, you can have, knowing what you're owed, and then making sure that you get it. Because I've been screwed over, and I just want to talk to this as well.
Oh yeah, go.
I worked for a company a couple of years ago, a production company, in quotation marks. I'm not going to say their name because they're very litigious. But they were horrible. They were awful. Their business practices were despicable. They relied on emotional manipulation to get what they wanted, and they tried to do that on me. And it took me, I think I was there 4 months. 4 months, and 4 months too long, in my opinion, before I stood up for myself and I said, you can't do this to me. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. And they threatened to take me to court. They threatened to, they said I owed them money for stuff that they didn't give me. And I said, all right, well, here's the thing. If you're going to do that, this is what I'm going to do. I'm also going to, take action, and I'm going to call the police. I'm going to do what I can to stop you from doing this. And they backed off immediately and they let me go. And I managed to get, this is one of the most important things as well. I managed to get that agreement, them leaving me alone, in writing from everybody that was part of that production crew. They had to sign it down the bottom and send it back to me. And I got it, and I still have it, so they can't touch me. And that kind of thing, it's not really the same thing, but it's the kind of thing that a lot of creatives don't think about when they get into the industry.
That was going to be my point.
They're not your friends. Like none of these people are your friends. The production staff.
Always know where you stand with all these people.
But one of the things that I'd like to also point out is throughout the 10 years that ScarJo was with Disney and working on the Marvel films, she has been subjected to some of the shittiest sexism that I've seen, especially in the first couple of films release. They were joking about how ScarJo's character was a slut and a whore and all this other bullshit. And not only that, but people were interviewing her. Like reporters were asking her if she wore underwear underneath her costume. How is that? And none of her male co-stars were being asked that question. It was only her. That's fucking. And to be able to put up with that. And then to have the company that is producing your film say, no, we're not going to pay you what we owe you, that's fucked. And I'm glad she's suing, and more people should. And I'm hoping more people do come out if they've been done wrong. And
just to point out something as well, ScarJo got nominated twice last year for Academy Awards for Best Supporting and Best Actress. So in case anyone is not gotten any idea, she is a phenomenal actress.
She is.
She's a phenomenal talent.
She's one of the top. She's at the top of her game.
She's someone who started out in small movies as well, and made her way into big movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that's going to come out of all this, I hope that will come out of all this, is that people will find that opportunities don't come through back-end deals anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
clear structure will have to be enforced on all accounts, because everyone will need to know where they stand. If the industry is shaken that badly, which is what it needs to be, everyone will have to be like, okay, we have the clear procedure of how to get into the industry, how to make the movie, do it all through legal means, and how to treat everyone through legal means.
Yeah,
I think when you ever come to a job, you read through your thing, and like, there's all these pages and pages of stuff, in terms of how I treat my coworkers, what I do, how am I supposed to treat myself.
Yeah.
Don't take any of that for granted ever in any job that you do, because it helps protect you and it helps protect your place of work and your co-workers. It's designed to protect everyone from, well, a suing, but they are there as safeguards.
Just read it.
Just know your safeguards. Know what is in your contracts to protect you.
Yeah. Simple as that.
It is.
And that's one of the biggest things that's really rocking the industry at the moment. And another thing that's really kind of changing how everything's, I guess, going in the industry is also how accessible a lot of people are that work in the industry. Like recently, this writer was on Twitter and basically called out a very well-known studio that makes a very well-known show about how she wrote a couple of episodes and helped write a couple of episodes for this show, didn't get credited, got fired, and didn't get paid. She worked on that show for about a week and didn't see a dime. And that's a big problem. That is a huge problem. And it's something that is, I'm really glad that stuff like Twitter is actually around, as toxic as it does get sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's like 80% toxicity, 20% it's essential.
But without Twitter, without social media being around, this person probably would have remained silent and nobody would have really known what was going on at all.
Yeah.
And now that it's out there, people can look at that and go, all right, well, fuck these guys. And other professionals can step in and say, you guys have to shape up or we're not working with you. And that kind of, this is how we, like, a lot of people think that it can't be that bad because, they work with cameras, they're on TV, and it is. It's not a walk in a park. It's something that, just because you're on television or if you directed television or written television, it does not mean that you automatically negate basic human rights. That's not how it works. And same if you're on, if you're earning over $100,000, that doesn't mean that you get your human rights taken away from you. You still have to be treated like a human. You can't. It's not right. And a lot of these companies now coming under fire for it, which I'm glad. And more of it should happen. If more people have been done wrong by these companies, then those people should be able to step up and say and plead their case.
Especially, and I shouldn't really say especially, but
why not?
When you've done, especially if you've done all the right things, and if you've gone the extra mile for these companies, and it shows. Because I think that's one of the key things that people are forgetting with the whole ScarJo situation is that she's been an essential part of their marketing campaign for a lot of these things as well.
Yeah,
and helping with their imaging because before her. Before Black Widow, female superheroes didn't exist essentially.
And even though we had Fantastic Four, but that was a bomb, so nobody really talks about it.
Well, that's also a group.
Yes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
she was also part of the
Oh, but then again, Jessica
Alba.
Yeah, she got treated terribly.
Oh yeah, she got treated.
She quit acting because of that. So,
yeah, wow. I mean, I'm pretty sure she's back in stuff now, but yeah, but it's not good. Stepped away for a while.
Let's end with some good news. Shall we end with some good news?
Why not? Tell me some good news.
I'm going to tell you some good news, but it's not really good news for you. It's more good news for the audience. Jordan is in the middle of finishing the final episode of
episodes.
He's finishing the season, whatever that happens to be.
Yeah.
In terms of writing. And as soon as the lockdown here in New South Wales ends, we will begin recording. I've talked to.
By the way, the thing that we're talking about right now is Yeet and Swag. We haven't said it yet, but it's the final. Because it's been a journey. It's been a fucking journey.
Yes, it's kind of funny, but how at the end of last year, it's like, we'll finish it by February or something. But then
the first lockdown, second lockdown happened, and then life happened. And then now this lockdown has happened, and it's just, it's so shit.
We will eventually release it on its own when it's all finished as well. We'll have it on its own playlist and stuff, so it'll be easy access. Please, if you listen to it as well, share it right now and get people excited because it will be coming soon. we'd love you to do that. And
yeah.
because I mean, we're really excited
It's going to be
about
good. I've put a
it
lot
is-
of hard work and effort into writing these episodes, and I'm liking them so far. I'm really liking them, and I hope you guys do too.
we enjoy playing the characters as well.
It's
They've
very fun.
They
Very
are. They are.
fun.
It is very fun playing these characters, and sometimes we make a joke out of nothing.
And one thing I'd also like to say is once we're done with Yeet and Swag, it's not over for them.
Oh no,
I do want to eventually come back and write more for Yeet and Swag, whether that be radio or a TV show or something. But
animated.
what I
whatever.
want to do is, after this is done, I want to kind of do more live action stuff and start up a sketch show on YouTube.
Yep.
Which will be really fun, and hopefully you guys can all come and watch that as well.
Yeah. So if you are liking sketch shows, we will post a link when it becomes available, and we'll start doing it straight away.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about just before we sign off is just a lot of the changes that are happening internally in our bodies growing up. When you do grow up, a lot of things happen and a lot of things change. And as this podcast has grown, and as we have explored different avenues of why we do what we do and why we love what we love, me personally, I feel like I'm sick of shitting on movies.
Oh yes, we are very much in the mood of we don't want to watch a bad movie and talk about how it was bad.
No, and it's not just like from I don't want to see this again. It's not just from that perspective, or it's not from that perspective at all. Rather, it's literally like I've struggled creating stuff, and when I see other people who have made stuff that may not resonate or may not work, I've stopped caring about how shit it is, and I kind of start rooting for them. Like I want to see them succeed, and I want to see them get better. And on top of that, like seeing my stuff out there. And sometimes it doesn't land. Sometimes it doesn't work. And it's like, who am I to shit talk other people who are trying to create as well? Like, I can't. You know what I mean? Like, it's
I know
not
exactly
perfect.
what I mean.
It's
Because
not,
I mean, part of the fun of the drinking movie experience that we try to do with recent podcasts as well is like we're watching these terrible movies, and I'm trying to make it fun. And I create a fun environment.
You did a good job with it.
I try and make a fun environment of a subpar film. But I think part of the key for me with watching that terrible elevator movie and watching that Mountain Time, is that the name of that stupid romance?
Yes.
With Jamie Dornan?
Yeah.
Is there's some quality there. Even though the movie overall, it's a shit, they're shit movies. And there's real shit performances in them. Horrible performances.
One of us is done with shitting on things. The other one isn't quite done. He's almost done.
No, the thing is, I can see that there was effort and passion put into these projects. And if I'm not giving it what is due, I'm still finding my own enjoyment and passion
and
from it.
There's nothing wrong with liking a bad film. And I feel like that's always been our agenda, is to make sure that no matter what happens, it's not about like how bad things are. It's about how much fun you can have with them. And with that being said, like one of the reasons why I'm making more stuff, why I'm writing more, I've almost finished a couple of feature film scripts right now. And, I've been approached by people on Twitter, like actual agents and stuff that want to see more of my work. And I look at that and I go, all right, I need to focus on positive things. I can't focus on being negative all the time.
We want to be constructive, not destructive.
Yeah. And with that in mind, I want to say, like, moving forward, we're going to try and be more constructive with what we talk about. Whether that be issues within the film industry, like we just discussed today with, legal rights and also jobs and workers' rights, to just looking at how amazing and how talented some filmmakers can be and some actors and what have you. And we want to focus on that more than just, this film was really shit and I hate this movie and I hate that actor and whatever. I don't want to talk about like that shit anymore.
Once again, it's like when we did have those reactions, it came from passion for the movie themselves, or what we would prefer to see. So but as you said, we're sick of it because we don't want to shit on people's parades. We want to bring them up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there hasn't been much to bring people up with recently.
No,
but
there hasn't. That's it. That's our life for the next 4 weeks at least. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, because what I want to do is, as soon as stuff opens up here and more people get vaccinated, I want to jump into doing more work. I want to do more Yeet Swag stuff. I want to do more just live action YouTube stuff. I want to stream as well. I want you guys to, come on and we can stream video games and stuff together. And I just want to have fun and just make stuff.
We just want to create. We want to create. That's why the podcast came about, and it was that we wanting to create something. We couldn't do it the way we wanted to, so the podcast came out naturally as something to do while we were getting our feet on the ground.
And Yeet Swag also kind of came from the same place. It's like we wanted to make a TV show, but we couldn't, so we made an audio comedy instead. And I think I just want you guys to enjoy more of that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm Scotty. Am I Scotty?
Are you?
I guess I'm Scotty.
Who am I talking to right now?
Are you George?
Speaking to you for the past 45 minutes.
Well, I don't know, but you know what? We're going to really confuse you because with our outro, here is our intro music and goodbye.
Oh boy! Wow! Yeah. See you guys.
Peel back the curtain, set the scene, bring out the film reels and ground coffee. Elizabeth Taylor, all sugar and spice, Rambo ripping heads off 'cause he's not there.